play Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and we are ending with the theme from Jurassic Park. So here are our High Plains ukulele players.
Nice.
Thank you so much again for allowing us to play for you. This is Olivia Salamo, Bella Jaramillo, Ella Roderick, and Karis Hulls. Thank you so much.
The ukuleles were awesome, and then they started singing, and it was so beautiful. So great job. Thank you all for being here. So make sure you wait till Superintendent Haber is done, and we'll get to visit with you. Ms. Ruckman, are there any updates to the agenda?
There were updates to the agenda, and the board has been made aware of these.
Thank you. Members of the board, are there any items you wish to remove from the consent agenda? Okay. Are there any discussion items to be added to tonight's agenda? May we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilburn,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mrs. Cons,
Aye. Tonight for board comments, we're going to start off with the CASB Winter Legislative Conference, which I believe, Ms. Shandy, you attended. So would you like to share any comments?
Yeah, we had a very productive time. We got to sit on the Senate floor. And while we went into the day not having any formal meetings because everyone's schedules were so busy that we didn't know how that was going to work out. But Senate did their thing. They got done relatively quickly, and we ended up having incredible networking and with D11, different senators from different areas and all that. And it ended up being just an incredible time of getting to meet with fellow El Paso County constituents and different politicians that we probably couldn't have put together if we had tried. So it was really great. So.
Thank you, Superintendent Haber. Did you have anything else?
No, I just would agree that we had a great time visiting with folks, and especially Senator Kipp, after everyone filed out, she came over and talked to us for a while too, even though we didn't have an appointment. So I appreciated her time.
Thank you both for that. Does anyone have anything they'd like to share for their board comments tonight? Okay. Mostly, I just want to say I believe parent-teacher conferences are next week, right? I've got older kids, so I'm kind of out of the loop. So just want to encourage everyone to attend those. And I want to say thanks to the families who always are so supportive of our staff during conference times, because I'm pretty sure most schools are working together to make meals, get donations for all the staff. So I just want to say thanks to all of our families for always doing that year after year, semester after semester. And then just happy St. Patrick's Day. So tried to be festive. So have fun for fun times to everybody next week. So superintendent comments. We are starting with Ms. Allen, since Mr. Smart is out of town tonight, and she will be presenting our new administrators on his behalf.
Good evening. It is my honor to introduce these four administrators for recommendation and hopefully approval this evening. Some of them are with us already, and so it's always a celebration to welcome them. So my first candidate, I'm pleased tonight to introduce. Now her name is Amy Magnoni, okay? But I only can call her Miss Magnoni because she was my son's first grade teacher. So she will forever be Miss Magnoni to me, and an outstanding teacher for my son. So she is being recommended as Discovery Canyon Campus Elementary School Assistant Principal. And she is joined this evening by her mom, Marcia. So thank you for being here. Amy holds a Bachelor of Science in Human Development and Family Studies from CSU in Fort Collins. She has a Master of Arts in Curriculum and Instruction from UCCS, and she was part of a District 20 cohort 7. We're excited. We're actually about to kick off cohort 9, so we love and are always proud of our cohort staff. So again, cohort 7 for her principal licensure. And Amy began her career here in District 20 at Discovery Canyon Elementary. She's been a kindergarten, 1st, 4th, and 5th grade teacher. She's currently the MTSS coordinator, and so pleased to recommend Amy to you tonight for the position of assistant principal at Discovery Canyon Campus Elementary. Miss Magnoni, would you like to say anything? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Becky Allen, and thank you to the Board of Education and Superintendent Huber. I am so excited to serve as the Assistant Principal of Discovery Canyon Elementary. I am so honored to be the recommended finalist and look forward to continuing to serve District 20 and now in a leadership role. This is a unique honor for me as I began my teaching career, like Ms. Allen said, at Discovery Canyon 16 years ago. Thank you to the staff and all of the Thunder community. You have been an integral part of my growth as both an educator and as a leader. You have been mentors, teammates, cheerleaders, and I've seen firsthand the dedication you have to our students' success. The work we do is not easy, but you all sure make it fun. Discovery Canyon is my home, and you are my family. It truly is a special place. Thank you, Steve Scott, for believing in me and giving me this opportunity to serve on the leadership team. I don't take this position lightly and look forward to continuing to learn from you. You always put kids first, and you have taught me what dynamic leadership looks like. And lastly, thank you to my family and especially my mom. Your encouragement and support mean the world to me. Thank you for instilling strong values and being a guiding light in my life. Your faith in me is the driving force that gives me the strength and the grit to keep pursuing new challenges. I'm so excited to start this new adventure and continue the work that we're doing. But let's all enjoy spring break first.
I'm now pleased to introduce Ryan Rafferty, who's being recommended as the Pioneer Elementary School Assistant Principal. Ryan is joined this evening by his wife Lauren, daughter Caroline, and mom Kathy. Ryan holds a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education and Sociology from Stonehill College in Massachusetts, and he has a Master of Education in Moderate Special Needs from Boston College in Massachusetts as well. Ryan began his educational career in Massachusetts. He was a second and third grade teacher. Then he was at Fountain Fort Carson here in Colorado Springs as a second grade, fourth grade MTSS coordinator, educational liaison. And finally, he is now in District 20, and he served there originally as an MTSS coordinator and is now the interim assistant principal. And we're very pleased to recommend Ryan to you tonight for the position of Pioneer Elementary School assistant principal. Ryan, do you have anything to share?
Superintendent Haberer, school board members, and directors, thank you for the opportunity to serve as assistant principal at Pioneer Elementary School. I'd like to take a moment to thank my family, who have joined me here today, for their encouragement throughout the interview process. I would also like to thank the entire Pioneer staff for their support during my interim year. Lastly, I would like to thank our principal, Annette Zook, for her guidance as I navigated through this role. I am looking forward to continuing to serve the District 20 community and build upon Pioneer's success and accomplishments. Thank you all.
I'd like to now welcome Carrie Mitchell, who's being recommended as the Academy Endeavor Elementary School principal. Carrie is joined by her husband Sean, son Talon, and daughter Claire. Carrie holds a Bachelor of Science in Early Childhood and Elementary Education from Evangel University in Missouri. She has a Master of Art in Curriculum and Instruction from the University of Phoenix and another D20 cohort graduate, cohort 6. Principal licensure program, and so pleased that you went through that program and now you're here tonight. Carrie has spent her entire career here in District 20. She actually started in Edison Elementary, and you're like, where's that? Well, it's where Academy Endeavor Elementary is. It was the name before it became Academy Endeavor. She's been a primary classroom teacher, a lead and mentor teacher, a reading coordinator, RTI and MTSS leader, instructional coach, and student growth and assessment coach. She currently serves at Academy Endeavor as the assistant principal. We're so pleased to recommend Carrie to you tonight for the position of Academy Endeavor Elementary School principal. Carrie, do you have anything to share?
Superintendent Haberer, directors, and board, I'm honored to continue this journey at Academy Endeavor Elementary, and I appreciate the trust and confidence that you have placed in me. Some of you may know, and you just mentioned, I began my career at Academy Endeavor 24 years ago as a second grade teacher. I'll never forget that first day on the job. I was barely 21 and I had 28 eager students ready to learn. Over the years, I've been afforded the opportunity to learn, grow, stretch my teaching skills, and assume numerous roles. I'm proud to have served at D20 as teacher, instructional coach, assistant principal, and now principal. I want to thank my friends, my family, my Endeavor staff back there for guiding and mentoring me, for Mrs. Sheila Hansen for my principals the last 4 years in helping me in this position. Thank you, D20, for providing me with the coaching and mentoring I needed to become a more skilled teacher, not just for our students, but for our new teachers coming into our profession. I believe in Academy Endeavor and what it represents. Go Astronauts. I look forward to collaborating with the staff, students, parents, district, and community to ensure that we meet our shared goals and continue to build a positive and supportive school. I'm eager to begin this new chapter, and I'm confident that we will create an environment where all students can succeed, grow, and reach for the stars. Thank you.
Our final introduction this evening is for Diana Fricke, who is being recommended as the Director for Digital Innovation Services. She's joined this evening by her husband Brian, her sons, her mom, and her parents-in-law. Diana holds a Bachelor of Arts in Communication from UNC Greeley. She has a Master of Library Science from Emporia State University in Kansas, and she is a Certified Educational Technology Leader. Diana began her career in Harrison District 2 as a library media specialist and LA teacher for language arts. District 49 at Skyview Middle School, again as a library media specialist. She served as a graduate instructor at Emporia State University. And then she was at Challenger Middle School as a librarian, English teacher, tech office supervisor, and the dean of students. Diana currently serves as a technology integration specialist in learning services, and we're pleased to recommend Diana to you tonight for the position of Director for Digital Innovation Services. Diana, do you have any words for us this evening?
Thank you to the board, Superintendent Haberer, and Dr. Field for the opportunity to continue to serve Academy District 20 in a new leadership capacity. Yesterday, during a training about artificial intelligence, AI, one of our high school English teachers turned to our team and said, "This has been transformative." It's this kind of transformation our Digital Innovation Services team seeks to bring to the teachers and students across our district as we guide and support the integration of meaningful technology in support of teaching and learning, ensuring all of our students are prepared for an ever-changing digital world. Thank you to Lori Hartman and the DIS team, Chris and Jess, for your encouragement and support. I also want to acknowledge the support my family has given me throughout my career and as I have pursued this position. Thank you.
We look forward to meeting and seeing all of you in a few minutes. And now Superintendent Haber.
All right. Well, we've had a great month since our last board meeting, and great happens here in D20. I've definitely been out visiting schools, just seeing the amazing work done by our teachers, working together and our students are fabulous. So just a few highlights. I went to Ranch Creek Elementary, and I had never seen this before. This is Smash Math over on the right. Students literally take the Play-Doh and they smash it into the math facts that we're solving the problem that was put on the table. And that was one of our student volunteers from our high schools that was there to help facilitate that. I just thought that was pretty neat, and the kids were really into it. And on the left there, we also have a teacher who's doing a very interactive math lesson. So a lot of good instruction going on. And I loved the interactive piece as well. Another interactive, Frontier Elementary School. I definitely got a workout. We were all raising our heart rates, mine probably more so than the kids. I was pretty worn out and out of breath by the end, but it was really fun. And the PE teacher was teaching them how when you raise your heart rate, it's good for your health. And so that was super fun to be a part of. And again, some other very interactive math lessons that we observed. Director Shandy, is there anything you'd add to that visit?
It was great to see how involved and just in tune the kids were that were, laying on the floor doing math or whatever. They were completely into the topic and the subject they were learning. It was great to see.
Yep. And then Rampart High School, Ball for Bucks. I didn't get to go last year. I was out of town. It was such a real privilege to be there. They held their 18th annual Ball for Bucks on an assembly on February 28th. And as the day of the event, Rampart had raised $48,000. I think they actually went up to $50,000 for the Leukemia Lymphoma Society, and they were on track to pass an 18-year total of $750,000 raised for that organization. Let's give them a hand for that. Then in the lower right, I had the distinct privilege of meeting Greg Anderson. I had been in his math classroom. He just retired last year, and the students literally had some hand motions and a little rhyme that they were saying for calculus problems. I was so impressed with that. But he is really, I think, the founder of the Ball for Bucks, and he was sharing with me how that came about. So it was a real privilege to meet with him. And also Lee Ann Lawrence, who is assistant principal at Academy International, because several elementary schools came over, middle school students, and it was really an absolutely touching and fantastic event. And I asked if Principal Megan Sanders would just come up and say a few words about Ball for Bucks this year.
First, thank you, Superintendent Haber and Mrs. Kantz and Mrs. Shandy for being there. It meant a lot to our students and staff. It is a tradition at Rampart High School, often, confused with St. Baldrick's, but it's our own thing. Started from a staff member who had, unfortunately, cancer about over 20 years ago. And Rampart High School did lose her, but her son was a senior and asked to bring it back his senior year, and we've been doing it ever since, and it's been incredible. I think my favorite part is that all of these elementary, middle schools come together. It's not just a Rampart thing, it's a whole community thing, and it has been very special. And this year, we got to honor, we have a hero child that is often a child that is related to us as Rampart High School in some capacity. Sometimes they're students at elementary schools that feed into us that have either fought cancer or currently. And this year we were able to honor our PE teacher's nephew, which was incredible to be able to do. Just a very special event. We have raised over $50,000. So, and we're having an event tonight called Jazz and Java as our last little push for fundraising. So it's been awesome. And we have some bald friends in the audience and some short hair.
Stand up
So,
if you shaved or cut.
Yes.
So just thank you for being there, and we are very grateful for our incredible community.
Thank you so much. Discovery Canyon Campus Middle School. They recently participated in an event at Dotery High School, and they won. They received a rating of superior, which was the highest rating you could get. So a huge congratulations to our DCC Middle School band. Then we had this wonderful opportunity to go on February 24th to see the Air Force Junior ROTC. They participated in an annual unit assessment, and this one was unique because they had a national inspector that came out, and this was really a big deal. They had every single student out there on the floor, and every student had their uniform inspected. They were some color guard kinds of events that they had to be inspected for. But the wonderful piece of this is they had 100% on their evaluation. And the inspector told Principal Olson that it was the best student mission briefing he's seen in 2 years as a regional inspector or director. The unit earned Exceed Standards, which was the highest possible rating. And they've also earned the Exceed Standards on their inspections in 2022, 2018, 2016, and 2012, which qualifies them for consideration to be distinguished, to be designated as a distinguished unit with merit at the end of the school year. We really have an absolutely phenomenal program there. And I know Director Shanny and a highlight for us was really visiting with these amazing cadets when we were sitting up in the bleachers, and they were telling us about all the fantastic leadership opportunities that they've had. On the second picture, a Village High School senior, Olivia Birch. She was in charge of the inspection preparations from the cadet leadership team, and she was presented as a top performer award by the regional director, which can only be given by someone from headquarters, so it doesn't happen very often. And some of the other cadets that were recognized as a top performer award were senior Scarlett Williams, juniors Claire Walker, Amari Trejo, and sophomore Adam Dibble. And the unique thing about this program is it's a district-wide program. So we have students from all of our high schools there, and it's such a wonderful unifying opportunity to come together as a district. And Director Shandy, would you want to share anything about this event?
Yeah, like you said, it was incredible again just to see their organization and the consistency that they have year after year with what they're doing. Fabulous program. And like you said, the cadets, they were so eager to talk to us. And I mean, one or two of them, like English was their like third, third language or whatever. Like they were just amazing to see and incredible students in our district.
Another reminder that our future truly is in good hands. Unified sports. I am so excited about the expansion of unified sports in our district. And due to a snowstorm last year, they weren't able to have this event. But this year is the first year that Pine Creek High School Unified Basketball Team has been in the big state competition. It was held at the Gold Crown Fieldhouse in Lakewood, and it's open to all high schools in Colorado. And the brackets are created based on the level of play and how the teams placed at regionals. And congrats to the Pine Creek Blue team. They played Rangeview High School and George Washington High School, and they brought home the gold. And also congratulations to the Pine Creek Green team. They played Berthoud High School and Ponderosa High School, and they brought home 4th place. So a huge shout out to them and the program. Let's give them a hand. And in that theme, we just this week had an opportunity to see students from across our district come together to play the search and rescue team. And it was really great to see them out there, excited to shoot baskets. The search and rescue team was amazing. They gave them lots of wonderful opportunities to shoot some baskets. And Director Shandy, Director Wilburn, anything you'd like to share about that event?
This was so much fun. What was this, last night? 2 nights ago. A couple nights ago. We had so much fun watching these kids. And as I was there wandering around, talking to parents, what have you, one of the moms of one of the boys on this team said, just thanked me so much for this. She said, her son's kind of an introverted kid anyway, and this is affected him in such positive ways. The kids at the school know who he is. They see him in the hallways, they high five him, and he's just come out of his shell. And I said, as long as I'm on this board, I will always vote to fund this, because this, you can just watch them blossom right in front of us. It was tremendous.
I know the other thing is they're really trying to expand the program
Right.
Amongst other schools and all of that. So I know there are principals in this room out there. I'm looking at you, Matt and Megan. Expanding this program to your schools would be awesome to see.
They start soccer next, and they do that in conjunction with the switchbacks, and actually fly to away games and play on the same field.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome. All right. We recently also had a CTE conference at the new hotel on the Air Force Academy, the Polaris Hotel, and it was a great turnout. We partnered with D49 and I think D11 as well. We had Tracy Marquez from the Pikes Peak Workforce Center and Bob Jimigani from PPWC and PPBEA. They all came together and helped sponsor the event. We had about 250 people that attended this event, and it was centered around college and career counseling, career academies, work-based learning, and we had industry panels from technology and AI. I know the session I went to was very inspirational. I'd like to have her back. It's Dr. Jennifer Curry. She's from LSU, and she just gave a wonderful presentation how even in elementary school, we can help students start exploring, like, what are you interested in? What do you want to be, when you grow up? What do you, what could we get them thinking about now? Because I believe when we do that, we're instilling hope and motivation early on for students. And she just had some really creative, fun ways to do that. So we plan on bringing her back sometime next year to talk with our elementary principals and possibly at some schools that are interested in participating with that. Our wonderful transportation team, they won awards last year, and they also won another wonderful review this year. Recent review from CDE found D20 Transportation to be in full compliance with maintenance, inspection documentation, and licensing regulations. And when you really think about the huge size of our fleet, I mean, we drive by that on Woodman, right? It's really quite a feat to get this outstanding recognition. So they do an outstanding job with safety and compliance really being paramount. And I think I see Mr. Joey Eisenhut. Is he here? He was here, still here? He was here earlier. Just a huge shout out to our transportation team. They really go all out to ensure that our students stay safe. And we just recently launched a new system too, where students have cards and they kind of clock in when they get on the bus, which will help us track students, help us track where the buses are. It's a new system that we're piloting this year, and then it will go into full effect next year. So we're super excited about that as well. We recently had a job fair, and we had about 304 attendees and did 131 of those were walk-ins. So really kudos to the HR department and Mark Belcher's department and communications, really getting the word out there, because we had a huge turnout. We conducted just over 50 interviews on that day. And we received over 850 applications on that day, which is huge. So I think people know that we have a great district and they're eager to apply for our positions, which was awesome. And the finance department, another department that earned recognition of excellence. The district was awarded the Association of School Business Officials International ASBO Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting for the fiscal year of 23-24 Annual Comprehensive Financial Report. This award is a testament to our D20's finance department and their consistent seeking of excellence and outstanding leadership. Ms. Allen, is there anything you'd want to add to this?
Just that I am so fortunate to work with such fine folks. They work hard, they have customer service and accuracy, and you know what, we all, and they live it every day, that we treat the funds that we have with the ultimate respect, and because we're the stewards of the taxpayer dollars, and we really take that responsibility to heart.
Thank you. Several of us attended the Administrator Case Conference, and I think the highlight for me was really networking with superintendents and other colleagues from other districts, sharing ideas. And I went to one on AI that was really awesome and just really learned a lot about how different districts are using AI as an important tool for learning. We all had the opportunity to go to the Air Force Junior ROTC Ball. We went last year as well. What a highlight. It's a real formal event. And the speaker this year was a general who actually flew the stealth bomber, Lieutenant General Stephen Basham. And he was very inspirational in sharing not only his stories as a general in the Air Force, but also really encouraging the students to know what their strengths are, to persevere, and to really shoot for their dreams and not give up. And so Director Cons, right? Do you have anything you want to share?
I'm just always humbled by these amazing students and just thrilled, like you said earlier, that our district just hosts such a phenomenal Air Force Junior ROTC. So the future's in good hands yet again, right?
Yes.
Getting to be with them.
Yes. I was invited to attend the Urban Land Institute reception for the North Nevada, the revitalization for the North Nevada corridor. It was fascinating to really find out how do cities go about planning revitalization of different areas of town. They have a panel now that is going to be interviewing different people in the community to say what would be the best way to revitalize that North Nevada corridor. And I had an opportunity to talk with one of the panelists and talk to somebody from UC Health, and could that be a place where we do some research around mental health, because it's right between UCCS and Penrose Hospital. So that was one of the ideas that was out there. So that was a great opportunity to network with our community leaders. Then I had another opportunity. I was invited to be part of a panel with the 2025 Leadership Conference. And it was really fun to do that with my colleagues. And we really tag teamed it pretty well and had the same message, which is just the importance for our community members, our parents. Several D20 parents were in the crowd as well. Just the importance of being involved. And Director Cons, I appreciate, participating in parent conferences, especially at middle school and high school level. It's a time when sometimes, students say, hey, don't be so involved, mom and dad, but really that's the time to lean in the most. It's my experience as a parent as well. So, but that was well received. And at the end, we're kind of surprised we actually got a standing ovation, which was nice because it wasn't really for us, but I think it was really about the importance of public education, and they just really resonated with them, like how can we be involved, which was awesome. Oh, back one. We had wonderful March stakeholder meetings, and it was about artificial intelligence. And we've had this amazing cohort, as Diane mentioned. We had a chance, Lori Hartman did an amazing job, and so did Zach Mathers, in talking about cybersecurity and all. We have the best cybersecurity program, I think, in the state. We have put so many amazing supports in place. And I had a chance to sit alongside IT when we had some cyber situations right at the end of year last year, and they were just phenomenal and are phenomenal. So it was really great to hear that presentation. And then Lori Hartman talked about the cohort that we have right now with teachers. And I had a chance to go to that meeting today, which was awesome, just to hear how teachers are using it in the classroom. And board, I would love to invite them to come to a study session maybe in April, just to talk more about the cohort, invite some of those teachers to come and share how they just really feel like it's transforming their teaching and learning. I know Discovery Canyon, since they're sitting here, the elementary, a lot of representatives from there, and I know school-wide, you guys are really doing a lot of amazing work with AI, and I know there's other schools that are doing that as well. And my student group down at the bottom, they're like, we want a group picture, so it was awesome. It's been such a joy to work with the superintendent student group. They just have such great insights, and every time I get insights from them, then I turn around and I share that at the K-12 meetings for principals. So their feedback does get shared with the leaders in our school district because student voice matters. And again, here's the AI cohort. Just teachers sharing. There was a couple of teachers there from Discovery Canyon that were sharing with me how they were using AI. And even with students who are on IEPs, using it to help really put together real clear, concise goals and potential interventions that could really meet the needs of our students. And I know one of the things that the cohort's looking at is what kind of programs do we want to buy for next year that will help us help all teachers have access to these different tools. And I don't know about you guys, but I was so full at the end of this. We had the annual future chef competition. Have you ever seen anything cuter than these kids with the chef hats, right? And a fifth grader from Prairie Hills Elementary there on the right, he won first place as the future chef for the year. And it was just wonderful. The recipes are made up by the students themselves. They have to put the recipe together. They actually cook it right there in the atrium. And then they have to come up, they have to present the food. The presentation had to be, we had to rate what the presentation was, how the food looked on the plate, and then best of all, how it tasted. And that was hard. Like I just wanted to get right the top ratings across the board. But Director Kahns, Director Shand, anything, Director Wilbur, anything you'd like to share about this event?
I think it's a great opportunity that our kids get to speak to, an adult group. And that was really the defining factor. I think yesterday was that Thomas, the winner here, was amazing in his natural presentation and all of that. And what a great opportunity for these kids to be in a pressure situation, putting themselves on the line for success and failure, and just encourage them to all come back and try again. And I know that they're petitioning you for a middle school cook-off now as well, as some of them are graduating out. But what a great opportunity for these kids.
Absolutely.
It's great exposure to a potential career path early in life. I know my son, when he was in the 5th grade, he knew he wanted to fly jets, and that's what he does. Some of these kids, I mean, they want to be chefs. They really do. They get a hands-on. They get that passion stoked, and it's just an incredible opportunity for them as well as for us. A lot of fun.
I'll just share a little vignette about Thomas here. Besides being an awesome, fun personality and great cook, he was the most gracious child I have. So he got up and he just started his speech when he won. And he said they each had a sous chef, some of our Sodexo employees helping them. And he turned around and said something to the effect of, "You're the best sous chef I've ever worked with before."
He was amazing.
Yes. And then he turned to his mom, of course, so the tears started, and he just said, "Mom, you've taught me everything I know, and I'm so glad I know how to cook because of you."
Definitely one of the highlights of the year, for sure. All right. And, without a drum roll or a cymbal, the announcement people have been waiting for, seniors' last day this year will be May 9th, 2025. Preschool, May 15th. K-11 students last day, the 23rd, and teachers last day, the 27th. And Dr. Fields, anything you would want to share in addition to that?
I think this is like the first time we've done it before spring break in a long time. Does it, right? But also just a reminder that if we have any more snow days, that for the secondary schools, we do still have to finish out the year with e-learning for secondary if we have any more snow days. But hopefully we won't have any more snow days and it'll just rain a lot. So anyways, that's it. Thank you.
Yep. So I am so excited to highlight, and Board, I'd like to start highlighting some of our amazing career academies that we have here in D20. That's been a real focus of ours, along with the Portrait of a Graduate. And I am delighted tonight to ask Mr. Mitch Burke to go ahead and come to the microphone if you would, please. So this is our HOSA Discovery Canyon. And oops, that went back. Yes, let's give him a hand. Let's give him a hand. So HOSA is a Health Occupation Students of America, and it's associated with their biomedical program. And I just get excited anytime I can go to Discovery Canyon to learn more about their biomedical program. It is like world class, probably the best in the state, if not in the nation. I've just been so impressed with you, Mr. Burke, and what I've seen with your students and your colleagues building such wonderful opportunities for our students. So the floor is yours.
Share with you why the Biomedical Sciences CTE program at DCC is such a valuable part of our students' education and how it aligns with our school's commitment to preparing students for future careers and post-secondary success. College and career readiness. The Biomedical Sciences pathway is a rigorous 4-year program that builds essential knowledge. I hit the wrong button. There we go. Sorry. Green for go. Excellent. Thank you. Sorry. A rigorous 4-year program that builds knowledge and skills for careers in healthcare and biomedical science research, 2 of the fastest growing industries in Colorado and the rest of the country. Students graduate with the hands-on experience in critical areas like genetics, disease prevention, medical innovations, and public health, making them more competitive for both college admissions and entry-level healthcare jobs. CTE programs like this one help bridge the gap between high school education and real-world careers, ensuring that students leave DCC with tangible, employable skills. What sets our biomedical science program apart is the focus on hands-on, real-world learning. Students work with advanced medical equipment. They learn how to diagnose and treat patients and complete lab-based investigations that will mirror what they'll actually experience in college and in healthcare careers. Our program is not isolated within the school walls. We have strong partnerships with local colleges, hospitals, and healthcare providers. Students participate in work-based learning. They have opportunities through programs like JAWS, job shadowing, and other work-based studies. These partnerships give students direct insight into healthcare careers, build professional networks, and give them valuable real-world experiences. There's a critical shortage of healthcare workers in Colorado and nationwide. Our biomedical sciences program is part of the solution. We're preparing students to fill roles in nursing, medicine, public health, and biomedical research. Many of our students go on to pursue careers in healthcare with aspirations to become doctors, nurses, physician assistants, EMTs, physical therapists, athletic trainers, and biomedical researchers. Programs like ours address the healthcare worker pipeline by giving students the skills and experience they need to succeed in post-secondary education and in the workforce. And our students are thriving. Many are already working in healthcare fields, some even doing so while they are still in high school. And many have earned college credits through dual enrollment. The program is now on its 13th year, and I've really started to hear back from our past students. I've heard from students who are now CNAs and EMTs. I've heard from former students who are athletic trainers and physical therapists, and one who's an audiologist. And I've received word from students who are now nurses in ERs, NICUs, and orthopedic units. And some have now completed medical school, and they are indeed doctors. These students are living proof of how the biomedical sciences program is making an impact. I would not presume to say that this program is responsible for the success of these young people. I know it's their dedication and their hard work that has gotten them to where they are, but perhaps it has inspired them and helped them pick their path. In conclusion, the biomedical sciences program at DCC is a critical part of preparing our students for college, careers, and for life. It supports student engagement, workforce development, and post-secondary success, all while addressing real-world needs of the healthcare industry. Thank you for supporting our program and for supporting other programs like this, which equip our students for success and strengthen our community.
Thank you, Mr. Burke. And that's the end of my update.
We need a motion to approve the consent agenda as posted.
Moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilburn,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mrs. Cons.
Aye. And right now we have 61 attendees on our live stream of the board meeting. We are going to take a quick anticipated break now for everyone that's been waiting. If you were part of the spotlight or were recognized in Superintendent Haber's update, please head over to Mr. Belcher. Will you give him a wave here? And Mrs. Story, so we can take some pictures with everybody. Thank you. We're going to come back together to continue our business. Mr. Sacalidi, I didn't give you the thumbs up, but you were on it. Thank you for being ready. There are no items pulled from the consent agenda. The first of our written reports was the accreditation handbook revisions for the school year of 2025 through 2026. Does anyone have questions or comments? Mrs. Shandy?
Yes, it was like Vice President Cons. So my questions were around efficacy and how we determine the programs that we're using. Besides, math scores. So for example, like last summer's reading program, summer camp that we did, how are we determining the efficacy of that program so that we can speak to it or decide that we need to change it?
Dr. Field.
Yes, great question, Ms. Shandy. And Andy Reskin, our Director for Literacy, is going to answer that question.
I'm heard. Okay. Yes, thank you for the question. So certainly with the summer reading program, we first use Read Act vetted programs. And secondly, and when I'm most, what I lean on the most, so you, I think, are aware that we have two dyslexia specialists in the literacy department, as well as two additional literacy experts. And we actually go through all of the vetted Read Act programs to actually look through and decide which programs really target students' needs the best. So we vet that program, and then we do our best and have been really successful at hiring very highly qualified teachers. In fact, last summer, all of our summer school teachers were certified academic language therapists. So they use the program, and then we also encourage our therapists and language specialists to also use their expertise and really customize instruction for students. So that's specific to the summer program. But literacy.
Can I ask real fast?
Of course.
Did we happen to do pre and post tests for the summer? And I'm not picking on summer. It's just
no. It's
a good example to lean on.
Sure. So we do smaller pre and post within that time period. So it's 2-3 week sessions. During that 3-week time period, we do see growth from either students maintain or grow during the 3-week time period. But what we're actually more interested in is end of year scores, Dibbles composite scores with beginning of year scores, because we're interested in how the learning really sticks with students over time. To be fully transparent, we've continued over the 4-year period that I've conducted this summer program. Results come back mixed. We have about 50% of students that either maintain their scores in Dibbles or grow a little bit, and then we have about 50% of students that regress. What we don't know and can never measure is how much they would have perhaps regressed had they not received intervention. We also try to look at their attendance rates and see how that plays into it. So we do look very closely, and we keep kind of hitting this 50-50 mark, but we're trying every year. We try and adjust. This year when we offer flyers will go out at parent-teacher conferences, so sign up. But we are going to have attendance be free again. We're hoping to up the numbers and attendance rates for students. And we are doing we're going to have 2 teachers supporting a larger class of students, but with 2 teachers working tandem. We're hoping that we can really, again, target student needs and use those vetted programs and teacher expertise to help students as much as we can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else, board?
The only other comment that I have was just, as we go about really relying on Results Now 2.0 to help drive changes and spark drastic increases in performance and learning and all of that. I would just love to see this handbook come more into line with the principles of Results Now 2.0. as we go forward.
Thank you. And then let me get back to my questions here. I just had a couple minor questions on our chart of site plan schedules for everybody. I noticed maybe for the first time that the departments do a site plan too. I've been so used to being in DAC and seeing the schools. But can you tell me about if any departments had site plans or any type of external reviews or anything like that this year, or what's coming up?
I don't believe anybody did this year, and departments haven't done external review in the past. And remember that the accreditation handbook is aligned with the state Colorado Department of Education's accreditation handbook and accountability laws and all of that. But what I know about the past is before we had a district strategic plan, it was an opportunity for departments to do planning like schools do, aligned to the board ends. So now that we have a district strategic plan, it's a conversation that cabinet needs to have because so many of our departments lead all those objectives and goals. So it's something that we're going to tease out, and I will give you a report as soon as I have it all figured out.
Thanks. Yeah, it just kind of sparked the question in my mind if it is occurring for our department. So thank you. Mr. Wilburn.
So thank you very much for this. It's a very detailed report. The fact that you put the changes in highlight made life so much easier. Big change, not a lot, but in section 8, which is the ERT, you note that some of the challenge issues of the past continue to be, namely closing the gap between free and reduced lunch and a focus on math that really isn't producing the results you'd like to see. What wheels are turning to address those?
To address, is this on now? All right. Yeah, to address the math issue, we've focused very closely for the last 2 years on providing really intensive math professional development. So each school has one or two or sometimes a couple math lead teachers, and they come convene 4 times a year for professional development that they take back. We have 2 national experts who've been supporting our district for the last couple years in providing research-based, evidence-based, really solid math instruction. All of our math teacher leaders have received training on best practices, on how to instruct at their appropriate level. So from a kindergarten level all the way up to calculus, in ways that are going to yield positive results for kids. And we just had our most recent one on Monday. And then we've already got plans to continue this work next year. Okay.
And I only ask this because it probably precedes my time in D20. How long have the 3-year visit structure been in place? Has that been since forever?
The external review process?
Every 3 years.
So I was just talking to some of my team that it was changed around 2009, 2010. Okay. We used to do, when we did an accreditation visit, it was like a big giant binder visit around all these different standards, and it wasn't as meaningful for schools. And so we, under our former deputy superintendent, Heidi Pace, this is when I was a principal, did the whole external review, and it's like a action research question that a school gets to answer, or ask rather, and an expert team comes in and answers the question. That it's just much more meaningful for a school, and it is just a great way to learn and grow, a staff to learn and grow together. Right. So I would say 16, 15 years.
It's been a while.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it. Thank you all. Written report 8B, draft student fee schedule for 2025 through 2026 school year. Does anyone have questions or comments? Mr. Wilburn.
This was very consistent. The only real inconsistency in terms of percent of increase was the ride pass. And I'm just wondering, on page 1, I'm just wondering if that is directly related to expenses we're currently incurring, upgrading facilities, purchasing new vehicles, stuff like that.
those rates have not been increased in some time. And so this increase is a big driver is for the Tyler Tech program that we're implementing next year. It's implementing, but as Superintendent Haberer mentioned, it's a pilot now, but that will help fund that.
Is that all for this item? Okay. C, monthly financial report through January 2025. Does anyone have questions or comments? Mrs. Shandy.
I had a couple questions on 2 line items where we're already over 100% of our budget. The non-salary expenses, other purchase services and equipment purchases. Can you just explain why we're already over 100%?
Absolutely. So, Mrs. Shandy, would you do me a favor? Let's look at the one that's under non-salaries first. And it's kind of like a package. They're all purchase services. So what happens is those dollars typically go into one main line when we allocate it at the district, and the schools and the departments move it around. So it is hard for us to guess where it's going to be. Where I look, I put most of my energy is at the total, where I say, okay, so right now we've spent 14.469 million out of the 19.4 million available. So I look at that bottom. Yes, if you look at the 102%, you can see, wow, that doesn't make sense. But where I look is really that bottom line, because I look at those 3 as a package. And the same occurs in the next 3, supplies, equipment, and other expenses. The majority of our discretionary budgets for the schools go directly into supplies. We don't know, are they going to need it in equipment? Are they going to need it in what qualifies as an other expense? They do budget amendments throughout the year to move the money to the other lines. So again, I look mainly at that 6.65, that is what we have spent out of a $16 million budget. One thing that we could do, if you would prefer it, is we could bundle them. So have, you know, where the purchased services, those 3 lines, purchase professional, purchase property, other purchase services. If you would prefer, we could put it in one line moving forward, or start that next year where it just says purchase services and it encompasses all 3. And then we could do the same. We still would have the different line items in our own budget, but from a reporting stance, we could also then package and say supplies, equipment, and other expenses in one line. Or you could say, you know what, just leave it. And I know that it's typically going to be off. And because we can't predict what the needs at the schools, and that they're going to slide the money around, and I'll focus on the bottom line total. But no need to answer me now. If you would prefer that we change it, we'd be happy to.
Okay.
The accounting will be the same, but in the presentation of the report, we could combine. But great question.
Yeah, I think I like seeing them separated. I just wondered why, you know, they were already over it, and we're halfway through the fiscal?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, and you know,
and then anytime I see other, I want to know what that is. Yeah, type thing. So
other purchase services, I'll give you an example on that. One of the reasons that expense is high, that was the big PLC conference. So that has travel in there. So that hit it pretty hard. But please think about it. And if you think, you know, there's a better way that we could present this, be more than happy to do it.
Okay.
Thank you.
For equipment, the variance to actual is actually a negative number in a couple spots. Does that simply mean we didn't purchase things that we budgeted to purchase?
Well, we don't really, again, the equipment is when most of the money that goes to the schools goes in the supply line. So when schools want to move it, then they would move that money, do a budget amendment over to equipment. So we don't poll everyone and ask what they think the equipment, and they manage that as they go through the year. Oh, we have to buy laptops. They move it over to equipment, things of that nature. They might, yes. So that's why I kind of just mentioned as well, if you think it might be, if there's a better way we could go ahead and present this, be happy to look at that. And like I said, I always look at it too, and I look down at the main line, that subtotal for each section, and I say, we're in good shape for that cluster.
Anything else, board? Okay, thank you all. Item D, legislative updates. Does anyone have any questions or comments? All right. Moving on, E, Board of Education proposed discretionary budget for the fiscal year of 2025 through 2026. Does anyone have questions or comments? I know we'll start with Mrs. Shandy.
We're doing a really great job of staying within our budget as a board. A heads up on the election fees that Ms. Allen will make adjustments as needed at the mid-year, should they come back higher than we have budgeted for. We had no increase from last year's adopted budget, and we're just doing a really great job of staying within our means. So,
thank you. Anything else? Okay. Okay. We are on to agenda item number 9, presentations, the strategic plan update. Superintendent Haberer.
Yes, Dr. Field.
I can see everybody better from here than my seat. All right, so this is a mid-year update on our strategic plan. And several of us this evening that will be sharing information with you. Feel free to ask questions along the way if you wish. So you can see this is our strategic plan team. It encompasses many people on our cabinet, as well as many members of the learning services team. And just a reminder for everybody that this is our global end statement, or our vision for District 20. It's actually been in place for nearly 25 years, that all students will have the knowledge, skills, and character necessary for successful transition to the next level, and upon graduation will be fully prepared for success. And we focus on 2 big monitoring reports, as the board knows, knowledge and skills, which we call E1.1, and character, which is E1.2, which is coming up in April. So we have, as a total strategic plan, we have 6 strategic priorities. Tonight, the ones that we will focus on that have mid-year data are the ones that are bolded. So the first one, which is ensure academic excellence for all, we have mid-year data we're going to share. Number 2, create a culture of connectedness for all students, staff, and our community of stakeholders. And then number 4, so we have 3 areas: use effective and transparent communications to build trust. So Ms. Ruskin is going to start us off and talk about our 3rd grade reading goals.
All right. Now I'm at the time in my life where I can either see you clearly or I can see this clearly. So just shout out my name if you have your hand up. All right, so our first academic excellence point, literacy 1.1, is 75% of 3rd grade students will achieve on or above grade level benchmark status according to DIBELS 8, and we use the composite score to measure that. At mid-year, which our testing window was in December, 74% of 3rd grade students achieved on or above grade level status. So we are in good standing, and I'm feeling very optimistic that we will hit that 75% mark by the end of the year. And it's important to note that we have an additional month of learning between our mid-year and end of year this year rather than last.
You do it.
Okay. The second literacy target, 57% of 3rd graders will meet or exceed on the CMAS ELA test. While there is no mid-year version of the CMAS to assess progress, we are fortunate we can use the 3rd grade map growth to predict CMAS success. NWEA, the developers of map growth, have researched the correlation between map growth and CMAS. And at mid-year, third graders scored at a median achievement percentile of 65%. Based on this score and the comparison report, it's very likely we will hit our third grade end of year target of 57% on the CMAS. All right, Literacy 1.3, elementary CMAS ELA growth goal. So rather than focusing on third graders, this focuses on the growth that our fourth and fifth graders show. Again, we're able to use MAP growth as a predictor to success on the CMAS. At mid-year fourth grades, MAP growth median growth percentile was 53 and fifth grades was 50. And again, using that correlation research, these mid-year MAP growth scores would indicate that we are likely to meet our CMAS growth goal for fourth and fifth graders. And then our final literacy focused goal, 90% of sixth grade and ninth grade students will successfully pass their ELA courses. At mid-year after first semester, 95% plus of our sixth and ninth grade students are passing their ELA classes. Do you have any questions about our literacy targets? Okay, thank you.
I'm back, guys. All right. So I'm going to take us on to math. So we've got a couple math goals. The first is that 90% of our sixth and ninth grade students will pass their math courses. And I'm going to refer you to, you've got a little blue folder here. On the left-hand side, you've got a couple sheets that look like this. That's just the data broken down. Superintendent Haber asked that we give you some disaggregated data by school. That's not reflected in this, but you can see how schools are. The two little blue lines on the first chart are population sample sizes that are just too small to report. But basically, we're hoping to get 90% of our sixth and ninth grade students passing their math courses, just about 93.5, a little bit better than that, of our sixth graders passed in the first semester, and just under 95% of our ninth graders passed in the first semester. And we always see second semester pass rates higher than our first semester pass rates. So we are on good track there. To the next slide, our next goal is 90% of our ninth grade students will pass Algebra 1. And this is looking to hit our overall goal of Algebra 1 completion, which is a graduation requirement. Right now we're at 92.06. And that number is changing just a little bit as we clean up some of our data for students who are in the data set that are like homeschool students and such. So we actually have a little bit higher percentage of students who are passing Algebra 1 first semester. And the great thing about that is our high schools have done amazing jobs for those kids that have not passed Algebra 1 during first semester. The schools have set interventions for those kids to help them catch up for that first semester credit and then to get back on track for second semester. So we anticipate a much higher pass rate of Algebra 1 by the end of freshman year. And on the back sheet of that first page is some disaggregated data by student demographics. So you can see where our student demographics lie, and the departments that are in charge of some of the areas that are in red there are taking direct action to help support students in a more specific way. And then the next one is 95% of our students will be on track to graduate by the end of their freshman year. Now that's a difficult one to assess at mid-year. So we looked at the pass rates of their classes in the core content areas, math, language arts, and science. And we're a little over 94%, almost 95% in all three subject areas. So we're on track for that measure as well. Any questions about the mathematics? All right, I'm going to go on to one more slide, and this is the culture of connectedness, and that's the third page there, or the second page there on the left-hand side, and that is 90% attendance at each level, elementary, middle, and high school. And you can see at the elementary level, 93.58%, so almost 93.6% of our students. Attendance rate in elementary. At middle school, it's a little bit lower, and at high school, it's a little bit lower, 90.1%, is our goal. This is a nationwide crisis of attendance after COVID, and it's something that we're very attentive to. So our high school MTSS coordinators met earlier this week to talk about this issue. Several of us are on a attendance task force with the state to try and figure out how we can increase high school attendance rates. But overall, as a district, we're 92.6% attendance rate. And that's the final chapter. The pages on the right side of your folder, Andy and Jolynn will talk about later in another report. Thank you.
All right, I think I have communication coming up next. Susan, if you wouldn't mind advancing us a slide. All right, so we have some mid-year stats updates for you all on our KPIs. It's a little easier for us to pull these KPIs on a more regular basis than some of our other friends have to do. So starting with 4.1, we have a whole district-wide push to share the D20 story, and we're happy to share out and report that 98% of coverage about ASD 20 is either positive or factual, and we've broken that out there. And we do have about 2% of that coverage is negative, so we're surpassing that goal there. Moving to 4.2. We are looking at about 500,000 engaged users on our ASD20 website this year. That's about a 6% increase, and we're shooting to always have at least our engaged populace, our families, our staff working with and using the ASD20 website. So we're really happy with that, and next year we'll probably look to update and increase what we're expecting to see so that we're not beating it by so much moving forward. In 4.3, we want to make sure we're additionally creating an engaging environment where individuals can find information as well as uplifting stories on our social media pages. So we're shooting for about 5% growth annually. We did see that this year to this point, and we'll continue to report out on that. That's bringing our engaged followers on social media platforms to a combined total of about almost 20,000 individuals. Moving to 4.4, as you well know, we are engaged in a push to adopt and roll out Parent Square. We started that push district-wide in January. Thank you to our IT team for engaging in that push with us side by side. It's been great so far. We've gotten lots of great engagement, lots of good feedback, and we're solving for the very few issues that we've heard about, and we're happy to report we're beating our 2024 measures right now. We've got about 21% of our families opted into our alerts so that they're getting them anytime we post anything, and then we've got 24% who have downloaded our app. Moving forward this spring, we're going to engage in a campaign to get folks to increase their app downloads, but still, this is really great adoption rate for just being a few months in. So that is our communication update.
Do you all have any other questions that we can answer for you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not a question so much, just a thumbs up. This has been a great report. We're ahead of schedule on virtually all metrics, especially ELA, 6th and 9th grade ELA. That was just outstanding. And you guys really knocked it out with this report.
It's our teachers.
Yeah.
Always the teachers.
Thank you, Learning Services team. So I assume when you referred to the other handouts, this is for our next presentation, correct? Oh, I was kind of like, are we done? Okay. 9B, mid-year assessment update, NWEA, map growth, and Acadience READ Act data, excuse me, Superintendent Haberer.
Dr. Field.
Yes, so Jolynn Patterson, who's our Director for Assessment, and Andy Ruskin, our Director for Literacy, are going to go a little bit deeper into our mid-year data with you.
So Andy and I are pleased tonight to provide, I'm on, right? Yes, sorry. Our mid-year assessment update. You will see that much of this data is also reflected in the prior report through the strategic plan. And so I think that just helps us see some of our connections. And so my portion tonight is going to be looking at map growth. Our vendor for that is NWA. So sometimes you'll hear people refer to it as NWA or our map growth assessments. Just a few reminders, this is an interim assessment within our balanced assessment system. So what that means is this is an assessment we do 2 to 3 times a year. It helps us see how we're doing to prepare students for CMAS and classroom instruction. It is computer adaptive. It is nationally normed. It is aligned to the Colorado academic standards, which are the standards that our teachers are teaching in their classrooms every day. And it provides the students' instructional level. So it really tells the teacher what are students ready to learn next. We test in District 20 in English Language Arts or Reading. We test grades 4 through 10. K3 is optional because they're doing a lot of the READ Act requirements and testing with different assessments that Andy will share about here in just a minute. And then in math, we do test grades K through 10. So what we have here are our overall performance pieces. In your handy dandy blue notebook, you'll see that on the right side, the first 2 pages look at reading and math by school for you. So tonight on the screen, you will see our overall scores by grade level over time. So starting in 2021 and going through to this current year of 2025, but we also wanted to provide you with that additional information. And I highlighted math in yellow because they look very similar at the top to help you kind of just determine which one was which. So looking at this, you will see our scores over time. One piece that I want to point out is the vendor has made some changes in their reporting mechanisms. So we still have access to the same scoring that we've used in the past, but for achievement, you'll see there's the achievement percentile, the blue line going up and down, which is the same correlation and the same numbers that I've shared out with you over years and over time. The way that they're going to start reporting it out in the future, so I wanted to prepare us and have us just to start look at that information, is instead of using an average, they're going to be using a median. So when we think of elementary math, we're going to go back in our brains of mean, median, and mode. A median is where they line up all the student scores and they're looking for that center score. And then when we look at an average, they're adding up every student score and dividing that by the number of students. So I just wanted to give you both views tonight because in the future, I anticipate that I will be providing you with the new version that the vendor is looking at. So you have on the right side, you have achievement scores. Remember, achievement looks at those students that took the test on that day. And then on the wait, I did that wrong. That's the left side says achievement. The right side says growth. And remember, that's looking at kids over time. So in that growth column, we're looking for a score of about a 50 or higher. That's what that median is. We're going to look for growth. What we know in Colorado, when we look at our achievement scores, this testing system would say if our students scored a percentile of about 41 to 60, they would be meeting those expectations. What we know in the state of Colorado is the CMAS test is extremely rigorous. And so we know our students have to score closer to a 60 to meet that meets on the CMAS assessment. So that's something we're constantly correlating and watching and learning about. So you have our math performance there, and then on when I click it, the next slide, you have reading results as well, and they're lined up similarly to the math. And so you can see over time from 2021 to 2025. Again, I've indicated with orange, highlight that new median percentile as well as the average percentile. And then you have achievement on the left and growth on the right. So what's important is that we have this data and this information, but the most important part is what do we do with it? What's happening to make changes in classrooms and changes for kids? So this is a huge piece of our professional learning communities when our schools are working, and also at the district level. We've spent a lot of time this year with the Learning Services Lead team and our principal supervisors. We actually did a data protocol that, let's see, I came up with, I called it life size. I was like, I tried to think of something creative, where we did this with chart paper and we took those visualizations that are typically digital and we did work to put out each school with a dot on the charts, because sometimes seeing it on the computer is one thing, but then also kind of living it and looking at those places, and it takes up a whole wall in learning services right now. So we were able to do work with our principal supervisors, the learning services team, and really spend time thinking about where we aligning resources. And we have a giant spreadsheet that looks at what schools we've already supported and when, so we could say, oh wow, we've put a lot of support here and we're seeing a positive result. best hope, right? Sometimes you put a lot of support in and sometimes we don't see something positive, but we want to see what's making a difference. So those are some of the pieces, our data cycles that we continue to work on. And then the last piece is a family report. So we report out every time we do this assessment, which would be fall, winter, and spring. We send home a very detailed family report. It looks similar to what our families get from CMAS as well, from the state. And so I just put a link in here if people are interested and would like to learn more about those reporting mechanisms, because it's important that our families understand and know how our students are performing as well. Now we're going to transition to Andy.
All right, so a little more information about our READ Act data. Just a reminder, READ Act is comes from Colorado legislation and actually focuses on kindergarten through third grade, and it's tied to our strategic priority that we just mentioned. So 75% of third grade students will achieve on or above grade level benchmark status on DIBELS 8. Just want to talk about why third grade, why that focus. Research finds that third graders who lack proficiency in reading are 4 more times likely to become high school dropouts. We know and have certainly experienced that intervention in kindergarten through second grade is more effective than in later years. Targeting that end of year third grade mark also gives us the opportunity to intervene with students in a more intensive way prior to those students moving on to secondary schools. And then as far as Colorado standards themselves at 4th grade, there tends to be a bit more of a shift to reading to learn focus standards rather than learning to read standards. So it's very important to all of us that we really catch and teach and grow students as much as we can in those early years. A quick key, so we'll look at some data. Just know that those red bars, the red colors, indicate well below. Yellow is below, green is on grade level, and blue represents above grade level. Oh, look, animation, sorry. All right. So the first really bar chart we want to look at is our third grade students at mid-year. So you can see that 540 or 33% of our students are scoring on level. 614 or 41% of our third graders are scoring above level according to that DIBELS 8 mid-year benchmark. So at mid-year, we're at that 74% mark as far as students performing on or above. You can see in your handout on that right side, we do have the schools and their individual performance on that mid-year benchmark. Something to keep in mind too when you look at those numbers, it's just enrollment size of schools. Some of our schools are very large and some of our elementaries are relatively small. So 1 or 2 students can really impact that overall percentage in different ways. So just wanted to remind you of that. There was also a question that the board asked, and so I wanted to make sure that I shared, and your second handout addresses this, but the question around how many students have moved out of that well below range from the beginning of the year. And we have had 575 students K through 3 move out of that well below from that August benchmark to the December benchmark. So a lot of progress is being made there. And just a comparison look. So in this slide, the top again represents what you just saw. So in 24-25, we're at that 74% mark. Last year at the same time, our third graders were at 70% at or above. So this different group of students is a little further along at this time of year. It's also a month earlier that they were assessed. So all good trends that we're looking at for this year. Okay, no more animation. All right. Again, as Jolyn mentioned, the most important thing is how we use this data. So as she mentioned as well, those professional learning communities and that time that teachers have together to look at data, we say over and over again, it's about name and need. So our teachers knowing their students and working collaboratively to ensure that they're receiving the targeted instruction that they need is really where a lot of the magic happens, the hard work happens. We plan intentional interventions and extensions. So our schools have things or times called win time, target time. Through our MTSS process, we're really able to have fluid intervention and extension for students based on their needs. Our principals are highly collaborative, which is amazing. We certainly build in time at our level meetings to talk about data, but really it's a community of professionals that reaches out to each other constantly. So they support each other in that learning and that growth. And then again, communicating with families is always big. We are and will be sharing at the upcoming parent-teacher conferences any read plans with parents, and we always make sure that they're an integral part of that process and conversation.
One piece that I failed to mention is today Mitosa's put some of these sheets in your electronic folder. Remember, we have the assessment just so you have that historical data there as well. And if you have trouble finding that, we can help you find that. And Cheryl, that might be new for you, so I'll help you find it as well.
Also, I'm sorry, just wanted to mention the last handout that you had has to do with the cohort of students that we follow. So I think you remember that at the end of every year, we take all of our third grade students that haven't moved out of well below or haven't demonstrated reading with 95% accuracy, and we continue to follow those students. So this handout represents the now 4th graders and 5th graders that we've been following. And I'm just really excited about the movement that we've seen and the progress that all of these students have made. Again, thanks to the hard work of our teachers and principals. Any questions?
So I just want to tag on. I had the wonderful opportunity and a huge thank you to Jolynn and Learning Services and Shelley and your team. We had Plant Moran here that we were partnering with them. I had a chance to see our brand new district dashboard, which we're calling the Foundations for Success. It's really exciting. I think it'll be a tool that teachers will find helpful to really learn more quickly too than having to look up individual students in IC, to be able to see their classes at a glance, to be able to go across in a student and see, what are the different interventions that have been done with students. It'll help, I think, principals get to know the students at a deeper level and be able to continue to give those supports with teachers. And I'm excited at the district level because it'll really give us on-time data to look at attendance, achievement scores. We have the capacity of looking even like behavior, all the things that are so important in that whole child approach that we take. So that was super exciting today. And I would like to eventually, maybe in May, possibly do that as a study session too, because I think you guys will be excited about that too.
Any other questions or comments, board? Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 10, public comment section number 1. Mr. Belcher, how many people have signed up to speak during public comment section 1?
There are 3 speakers.
Thank you. The board welcomes the comments of our community members. We greatly value all comments from the public, but in order to adhere to board policy and accomplish the work already on the agenda, the board and superintendent will not respond at the meeting. Speakers may offer appreciation for or criticism of school operations and programs as concern them, but are encouraged to exercise their speech rights responsibly, as they are personally responsible for any legal consequences attributable to their comments, including claims for defamation. Please keep in mind that students often attend board meetings. Speakers' remarks, therefore, should be suitable for an audience that includes kindergarten through 12th grade students, including no use of profanities or obscenities. Comments concerning personnel matters should be directed to the superintendent or board president in writing with your signature. Supplemental written materials can be given to the security guards, and they will be delivered to the board secretary. The board acting president tonight will recognize each speaker and consistent with GP 4.04, Section 4, comments will be curtailed if remarks or behavior become inappropriate. The board president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a speaker's statement that is unrelated to the business of the school district, inappropriate for K through 12 students, or disruptive to an orderly, civil, and productive meeting. And I just want to add tonight that I have always respected everyone's passion. I've said that to many people of all types of ideologies, that I totally respect people who are here when we're looking at people who aren't here. So I'm excited to have the passion in our district, and I know that we're all emotional and about our district. And I just want to say that I would love for us all in this room to collaborate for a productive meeting so we can hear each other. And you've always been respectful when I've run the meetings before. I've reminded you this has been in place for a long time, that we've transitioned a long time ago to showing appreciation for speakers silently with our ASL applause. So I just want to say that that is preferred because it helps us all be able to hear each other, for us to hear you. So I thank you all for your cooperation. Mr. Belcher.
Our first speaker is Rob Rogers, followed by Katie Chukis.
To recap what's happened over the past month, this board is making up arbitrary decorum rules, applying them selectively, restricting speech even when there's no disruption, and clearing the boardroom over polite applause, which has happened 17 times tonight, by the way. Then there's executive sessions. Last meeting, after 30 minutes behind closed doors, you returned with a motion ready to vote on no minutes, no recording. And was that even a valid meeting, considering Mr. Salt rage quit and then never adjourned it? Then a short notice special meeting, yet another executive session, citing the same vague justifications of security and legal advice. Supposedly this was about GP 4.4, how board meetings are conducted, but what could possibly require attorney-client privilege about that? Or is this about ensuring the public doesn't hear that you don't value the First Amendment, and yet somehow a resolution on 4.4 was already written before this meeting tonight, despite no public discussion? So now we see the redlined revisions, which are likely unconstitutional. At least they would be in any courtroom that isn't operating under the Brad Miller version of constitutional law, like banning signs and expressions of support. Courts have ruled that non-disruptive protest is protected speech, or allowing the board president to close public comment at will. That's likely viewpoint discrimination. And let's talk about the vague, overbroad language in these rules. Who decides what's distracting and to whom? I find public prayer and speaking in tongues distracting, so is that now prohibited? What about wearing coordinated t-shirts? Is that a protest? Where does this selective enforcement end? And executive session time is increased 419% from 2023 to 2024. A quarter of your discussions now happen behind closed doors. And then I find out that unelected administrators are using my tax dollars to lobby against financial transparency. More and more you act like the public is an inconvenience to be managed rather than people that you serve. More and more consequential decisions are happening out of sight, and this district is looking more and more like Woodland Park every day. I wonder why that might be.
Next up is Katie Chukis, followed by Bernadette Guthrie.
My name is Catherine. Is this on? Hello. Okay, my name is Catherine Chukis. I live in the district. I'm an Air Academy high school parent. I'm still the SAC chair. My topic today is about Report 8B, the draft fee schedule. At our SAC meeting this winter, our Air Academy community had a long discussion about athletic and activity fees. And it's interesting to me that looking at that schedule in 8B and the rate of inflation that's been going on, that the fee hasn't changed at all for most of these high school activities and athletics. At our SAC meeting, we discussed how parents, as parents, our needs to pay or fundraise have definitely gone up over the past couple years. We discussed setting expectations with families about this, how the fee and then the need for fundraising is not, it's not equal, right? Like we have to do a lot of fundraising or paying out of our own pockets. And that's the nature of our conversations at Air Academy. We're coming up with ideas and solutions. A lot of them are about teaming together between families and activity leaders and better communication. And we're implementing these at our site. And that's the point I want to make is as a KDEC community, we are trying to figure things out. We let the students grow and change in the ways they want to be the leaders of tomorrow in arts, in athletics, in science, in business, and in the military. The curtain just went up on our spring musical and tip-off is in 15 minutes at the Denver Coliseum for our #1 ranked girls basketball team. And we've also grown and shaped leaders within the education professionals who make up the fantastic staff at Air Academy. But we're having a real hard time right now. And we know our site leadership is in transition, and nobody wanted this transition. We've been having a hard time with this in all of February, and it now looks like this process will continue to linger at least until April 10th or maybe longer. If the district isn't able to find us a principal shortly, we cannot have a leadership vacuum. As Mr. Cameron Smart has outlined in emails to many of us, the wish list is long for a new principal. There are many demands on our site. We are a 60-year-old building with no budget. We're on a military base that has changing demands.
Thank you, Mrs. Chukas.
Ms. Bernadette.
I'm here tonight just 48 hours after undergoing a double mastectomy. I'm attached to drains and a wound vac under here, so that's why I've got a blanket on. Frankly, this is the last place I should be. But it's hard to ignore the timing of tonight's agenda. It feels intentional that these items were scheduled for this week, likely assuming I wouldn't be able to attend due to my recovery. If the goal is to silence me once again, I'm sorry to disappoint you. The proposed changes to GP 4.4 are clearly retaliatory. I clapped at the February meeting, which is a constitutionally protected form of speech, and now the board wants to ban clapping, cheering, and other expressions of support. That's not governance, it's punishment. Even more concerning, these policy changes were discussed in a nearly 3-hour executive session where policy decisions are not allowed under Colorado law. That alone violates the Colorado open meeting law, but it also violates the board's own policy under GP 4.14, which requires that policy changes be discussed during at least one public board meeting before being approved. That never happened. Second, the formal complaint resolution. This is unprecedented to display a constituent's name and the full content of an email public in board docs without redaction. There was no reason to publish that information other than to intimidate and silence me. Elevating a private citizen's email to the level of a formal resolution without following your own procedures that I was told you would follow is retaliation, plain and simple. I shouldn't have to be here, still recovering from major surgery, defending my right to engage in public discourse without fear of retaliation. The board's actions are not just inappropriate, they're unconstitutional, unlawful, and beneath the standards of good governance. I would strongly advise you to carefully consider the consequences of voting on these resolutions this evening. I will have quite a bit of time on my hands the next few weeks while I recover and fully intend to use that time wisely. Also, Colorado law makes it a Class 6 felony to knowingly falsify, alter, or forge a public record with the intent to mislead or conceal the truth. If the board secretary knowingly falsified the minutes from last meeting, such as stating Mr. Salt properly adjourned the meeting, but there was a mic issue, under the board's direction, this could rise to the level of criminal misconduct. Thank you.
There we go. Number 11, decision items. We need a motion to approve Resolution 18325, appropriation from the General Fund Public Schools on Military Installations Program, PISMIP, assigned fund balance, and contract award for pre-construction services for a new PK-8 school at Douglas Valley.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion, please. Superintendent Haber.
Yes, Ms. Becky Allen.
It's on, even though the light isn't on? Great. Okay. I'm probably the 10th person to bring this up, right? All right. So you have a resolution before you regarding the Public Schools on Military Installations program, specifically at Douglas Valley. As you know, we've already embarked on the design phase. We have been awarded the design grant for this project. And back in September, the board approved an appropriation of just under 2.5 million for our match for that process. Well, now it is time. We're not done with the design phase, but we are certainly moving through that process. So now it becomes time for the second phase of that project, and that's the construction. Well, in order to get to that point, we need two things. First of all, we need to finish the design work, but we also need to do what's called pre-construction services. Pre-construction services, one of the big pieces of that is really now looking at the designs, estimating what the cost will be, and that would help us determine what we can or cannot afford. If you recall, we had fully funded about $12.3 million is the amount that's been in the Public Schools on Military Installations Reserve to pay what we think will be approximately that 20%. I say approximately because obviously there could be unexpected fluctuations as we look at just costs or escalation with respect to longer time or shorter time, but we feel confident in that amount being certainly a maximum that we would need. So back in December, an RFP was posted, and it was for two things: pre-construction services and construction services as a package. And so that process was gone through, and the vendor that the evaluation team recommended was non-construction. And so what this resolution would do is go ahead and award that work to them. Now, it's important to know that right now we know the amount of money for the pre-construction services. The full portion is about $48,000. That's not just our 20%, that's the whole piece. Once that process were to be done, at that point, non-construction would go ahead and give us what's called a guaranteed maximum price, or GMP. It's the maximum price that it would cost for the construction of the project. At that point, two things could happen. The first is the district feels that that is a reasonable cost, that it's justified. We say, yes, we're able to move forward. And then I would come back to you with what that would look like in terms of what the appropriation would be, and the proposal for construction would be submitted to the federal government. A second RFP would not need to be done because the team already identified pre-construction and construction services for non-construction. That's pathway one. Pathway two is none would complete the pre-construction services, and they would give us the GMP, and the district was not satisfied with that. So at that point, the district would have the right to put a new RFP out and go through that process specifically for the construction services, and then again, identify a company, find the GMP, work on the proposal, and come back to you with the appropriation. So that is what the overview of this particular resolution. You would be approving the appropriation of $48,000 out of that reserve for the pre-construction services. You would also be approving awarding that pre-construction and construction to none. But remember, if that GMP later is not something that the district is satisfied with, then a new RFP would be posted for the construction services. Any questions for me? It's an exciting step because we're getting closer to the construction proposal, and I can't thank, Superintendent Haber, Mrs. Shandy, you have both been involved in the DAG work. Chris Garnhart and his team, the teachers, folks are excited. So this is just one step closer. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilburn,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mrs. Cons,
Aye. Item 11C, we need a motion. Oh, pardon me. Item B. We need a motion to approve Resolution 18425, language revision to governance process policy 4.4, board meetings.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion, please. I'll start if that's okay. So this redlined revision was just presented to the board for discussion starting tonight. And a few things just to point out. So I know we've all gone through it. Mr. Wilburn, thanks. When you saw it just a couple days ago, you asked Cheryl to make some more formal language, grammatical changes. Oh, let me say this, Mrs. Ruckman, because I said it before, and I think this document just has an issue because I tried to correct it last year too. Under number 2, the last bullet point says A again instead of I. This document is, I think we need to like retype it because it's not letting us change that every year. It says A instead of I, so that's a minor thing. So we, well, I think Ms. Shandy has some things she wants to talk about guidelines, but basically we are looking at just making sure there are some guidelines we currently have, putting them in policy instead, just so we're all a little clearer, the whole public, the board, about certain things. We are cognizant of discussing material disruptions. For instance, if you can't hear the next speaker being called, that would be a disruption to our board meeting being conducted effectively. So we're looking at just addressing those types of things. If my microphone had been working, I may have called a point of order on the last one because we couldn't hear me, but my microphone wasn't working. So let's see what else. We are looking at, should this revision be approved tonight, we are looking at if any disruption, if we have to recess the meeting for anything, could be a natural disaster, it could be a massive disruption, we would recess the meeting until the following day. And so I just want the public to know that if that happened, we hope not, that there would be 2 options. You could, if we had to recess the meeting before public comments finished, you could either come to the meeting the next day and still give your comments verbally to us, or if you're unable or unwilling to attend the continuation of the meeting, then you can submit your comments in written format to be recorded in the public, what's the word I'm looking for? Minutes. Thank you. I wanted to say comments again, and that was not correct. What else, board, would you like to offer for discussion?
I know from going up to our state legislative bodies and having the honor of sitting on the floor, on both the House floor and the Senate floor, and experiencing what that is like, they are very strict in their decorum and their expectation of how you behave. This includes clapping. I mean, Superintendent Haber and I were just at the Senate floor. We literally got a postcard that spelled out for us, no clapping, no cheering, like 5 or 6 things. And I think that there's such an excellent example for us to look at elected politicians there to do work for our state. In similar fashion, elected politicians, we are here to do work for our district and for our students. And we have every right to dictate the decorum in our meetings, and clapping being one of those. The Senate does it, restricts it. The House of Representatives restrict it. I think it's just a great example for us to follow, to hold ourselves to, a high sense of how we're going to behave in our boardrooms and during our board meetings.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments?
Yeah, I think Amy's right. We do have a right and responsibility to dictate decorum in our meetings. The behavior that we see here would get a person walked out of the state capitol. I don't know if we want to go that far. We don't want to do that. But this is our meeting. It's the board's meeting that the public is invited and allowed to attend, and rightfully so, should be allowed to attend, should be allowed to speak. But conducting the meeting in a manner that is civil and in accordance with a set of decorum and rules that we have established isn't unreasonable. It isn't unreasonable at all. I don't want to see anybody removed from this room. I don't want to see anybody silenced. And the last thing I personally want to do is turn this into the Jerry Springer show. Ever. I don't want to see that here. If you want to come and be critical of me, and a lot of people do, or of Amy or of any of us, that's perfectly fine. But doing so within the framework of the rules and decorum standards that we have set isn't unreasonable, in my opinion.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Wilburn,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mrs. Cons,
Aye. Item C, we need a motion to reject, excuse me. We need a motion to reject the request for corrective action on Resolution 185-25 formal complaint.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion, I will begin. Per the complaint, item number 1, no executive session deliberations occurred whatsoever when we cleared the room. The board's efforts to restore order were lawful and content neutral, especially looking over the span of time as we have monitored public comments over many more board meetings. The meeting was adjourned properly. I actually, after Mr. Salt said his final thing in the microphone, I turned to him and said, please adjourn the meeting. And he said this meeting was adjourned. And then public comment rules were enforced uniformly. So we have the motion already to deny acting upon this complaint. Any other comments, board?
No, I agree with your statements.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Wilburn,
Aye.
Mrs. Shandy,
Aye.
Mrs. Cons,
Aye. We are on to public comments section number 2. Mr. Belcher, how many people have signed up to speak during public comment section 2?
We have 12 speakers.
The board acting president will recognize each speaker, and consistent with GP 4.04, comments will be curtailed if remarks or behavior becomes inappropriate. The board president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a speaker's statement that is unrelated to the business of the school district, inappropriate for K through 12 students, or disruptive to an orderly, civil, and productive meeting. Thank you for your cooperation.
First speaker is Allie Johnson, followed by Jenny Diedrich.
Hi, I'm Allie. I teach and I run the Business Career Academy. And I've been at this podium actually several times, and mostly to celebrate the greatness that happens at Air Academy and in D20. And tonight I'm here with my amazing staff to do exactly the same thing. As a business teacher, I teach my students what it takes to run a successful organization. And a theme comes up often, right? Strong leadership.
Most successful leaders will argue that mentoring, talent retention, and succession planning are key to maintaining stability in an organization. And when you feel secure and stable, you can operate from a growth mindset. But of course, when you're living in fear of what's to come, your growth is stagnant. So we've been lucky at Air Academy to have great examples of strong leadership in our admin team. And of course, after Dan's announcement, many of us felt a little unsettled, a little unstable, but know that ultimately that our next leader will carry on those KDET traditions and move us forward into these next really exciting challenges. So we at Air Academy have been a shining example for many years. You've invited us many times. We owe that success to our leadership team who recognizes our talent, and then they just let us do our work. They remove barriers and they have tough conversations so that we can focus on educating. So if you'd like that important work to continue, I please recognize the highly qualified talent in our admin team and let them do the work. This ask of you really comes from a talent retention concern. I am painfully aware of our talent retention problem here in D20. Some of our best leaders like Dan and Lindsay Keller and Nathan Gorshin have left for neighboring school districts in our city, and we need to have the conversation about what we're doing to retain our talent. So please reconsider your decision and allow Sean Whitson and Anna Kyleman and Liz Walhoff to interview for the position of principal so we can get back to stability and growth. You have a great opportunity here to listen to your team one and demonstrate that our people, our homegrown internal talent truly are at the heart of our success. Thank you very much for your time.
Our next speaker is Jenny Dietrich, followed by Veronica Baker.
Good evening, members of the school board, administration, and community. My name is Jenny Dietrich, and I'm here today to address a matter of great concern regarding the hiring process for the Air Academy High School principal position. Transparency, fairness, and trust are cornerstones of any successful institution, and it is with these values in mind that I bring this issue to your attention. Recently, the principal position was announced, and 3 of our current assistant principals, dedicated, qualified, award-winning, and deeply invested in our school community, applied for the role. However, just 2 business days before interviews were set to begin, the job announcement was revoked and reposted with new requirements. These criteria, specifically the mandate of 3 to 5 years of principal experience, effectively disqualify our assistant principals from consideration. This sudden change raises serious questions about the fairness and integrity of the hiring process. It is difficult to ignore the appearance that these changes were made to deliberately exclude internal candidates who have proven their commitment to Air Academy High School. These individuals have years of experience in leadership roles, a deep understanding of our school's climate and culture, and the respect of students, staff, and parents. To disqualify them based on a technicality that was not originally part of the job description feels unjust and undermines the trust that we should be able to place in this board, but definitely cannot, since every member has committed shady, unethical, and in Derek's case, illegal transgressions. I urge the board to reconsider this decision and ensure that the hiring process is transparent, equitable, and inclusive. Our district deserves leaders who are chosen based on their qualifications, dedication, and ability to serve our community, not excluded by arbitrary criteria introduced at the last minute. Let us prioritize fairness and give all qualified candidates, including our current assistant principals, the opportunity to compete for this vital role. In addition, I will not be gaslit into thinking that last month's meeting was adjourned.
Our next speaker is Veronica Baker, followed by Nate Lewis.
Hi there. To quote Smokey and the Bandit, I've got a long ways to go and a short time to get there. Let's go. Many parents of special education students have been concerned about changes with their staff. Rumblings about allocation changes shifting from a school decision to an administration decision are troubling. Taking autonomy away from principals in their schools makes staff and parents upset. We understand that District 20 has many student needs, but it's confusing to see specifically robust resource programs being stripped of the much needed para educators and case managers. I've spoken to many in the community who wonder why we are so ready to cut lower level desk side supports when we are keeping upper level costly administrative positions, especially when parents routinely complain about receiving conflicting or erroneous answers regarding policies from these same administrators. Another issue that I've spoken about before, but it still remains a problem, is that students qualifying for speech services are receiving their minutes remotely. The previous D20 Director in Special Education Compliance, Matt Montoya, reported that research showed Zoom speech services were ineffective. It's confusing then to see that we are supporting this form of therapy when we have determined it to be inappropriate. With Zoom speech services, we are paying more due to the contractor fee, and we are getting less. D20 is utilizing an approach that they have already deemed ineffective and is lacking in educational benefit. My final concern regards the principal job listing for Air Academy. Dan Olson has done a tremendous job creating an inclusive environment for students in the special education program. For my son, a new and incoming sophomore in the AN program, he has been welcomed into the culture of Air Academy so warmly. AP Anna Kyleman contributed significantly to the success of this transition. She answered my phone calls over the summer, met with us before school started, and was an active participant in our IEP meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Baker.
Our next speaker is
appreciate
Nate
it.
Lewis, followed by Elizabeth Clay Del Rio.
This meeting will come to order. Is there any unfinished business? Okay, we will move on to the continuation of public comment section number 2. Mr. Belcher, in just a moment, will you please begin to announce the individuals signed up to speak? The board president will recognize each speaker, and consistent with GP 4.04, comments will be curtailed if remarks or behavior becomes inappropriate. The board president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a speaker's statement that is unrelated to the business of the school district, inappropriate for K through 12 students, or disruptive to an orderly, civil, and productive meeting. I also want to just say, if you run out of your speaking time, the 2 minutes tonight or any future board meeting, you're always invited to email your full comments to us. It helps us get to hear you out. And if any issues ever arise out there in the seats, please address them in a non-disruptive manner in the hallway with a member of our security team, and they'll be happy to help you. So thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Belcher.
All right, we're going to resume our speaking section with Nate Lewis and followed by Elizabeth Clay Del Rio. Nate?
And please begin from the beginning if you want.
And me come back and letting us come back to express how we've been feeling. It does show you guys care about us just a little bit. So I'm speaking today as both a former student and current staff member at Air Academy High School on behalf of a community that believes in fairness, transparency, and leadership development. We are here because the requirement change has made that prevents our 3 assistant principals who have dedicated years of service to our Air Academy from even being considered for the principal position. This is not just unfair, it is illogical, inconsistent, and damaging to our school community. The question that needs to be answered is simple. Why? Why was this change made? Is there a preferred candidate in mind for the job? Do you not have trust in our APs? We can only speculate these thoughts since we haven't had any insight to why this decision was made in the first place. But one thing is clear, it seems that we are the only school in D20 currently who has this new requirement. Our review of district job postings, like I showed yesterday, shows that we're the only school currently who has this requirement. If this new requirement is truly in the best interest of district, why is it not being applied consistently? What makes Air Academy different? Selectively enforcing a rule that limits opportunities for more than qualified candidates raises serious concerns about transparency and fairness in this hiring process. The new requirement states that to become a principal, a candidate must have already been a principal for at least 3 to 5 years. To most of us, that logic is deeply flawed. Every principal started somewhere. By enforcing this requirement, you are creating a dead end for future leaders within our own school. How does that benefit our school? How does that encourage leadership growth in District 20? And most importantly, what message does that send to our students? We teach them that if they work hard, gain experience, and prove themselves, they will have opportunities to grow. But this decision contradicts that lesson. It tells students that no matter how hard they work, the system can still be unfair. It tells them that decisions are made behind closed doors, not through merit. That kind of message discourages students and damages their trust in leadership. Let me be clear, Air Academy is not opposed to new leadership. None of us here are against that. We are not asking for favoritism. We are asking for a fair and open hiring process, where all qualified candidates, including our assistant principals, are given an opportunity to prove themselves that they can do this job, not through restrictive rule that only benefits certain applicants. In closing, I encourage you to reflect on this decision. It is unjust. It is
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
Next speaker is Elizabeth Clay Del Rio, followed by Catherine Gale.
Thank you.
Hello, is this on? It's on, okay. Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm 23, I'm a college student. I care very deeply for the students of this district and all the people that come together on their behalf. And the way that I want to show that care for me personally is just for praying for the meeting. Father God, thank you for this day, for every single day that you've given us. I just want to pray over this place, over these board meetings, God, that you would make this a place of goodwill. God, there's so much division in this day and age. And at the end of the day, we're still all here for a common reason, which is for these kids, God, because we all care about and we love these kids and the people that come together to support these kids. So I just pray that you would help this to be a place of goodwill amongst men, between the board and the public, between the public themselves, just of open communication, and the ability to see the humanity in the other side, even if they don't share your viewpoints. Because at the end of the day, every single person here, everybody under the sound of my voice, and everybody is deserving of respect simply by the fact that you are alive and you are here today. We all have stories. We all have many, many things that we've lived through. And that's culminated in many different viewpoints in each of us. But we each were born. We have life, breath in us. And I think that's deserving of respect on all sides. So thank you for this. And thank you for hearing us. In Jesus' name I pray and give much thanks. Amen.
Our next speaker is Catherine Gale, followed by Richard Brown.
Good afternoon. I'm Kat Gale, a D20 parent, a D20 taxpayer, and a scholar of the First Amendment. At the February meeting, I branched out and spoke about the 14th Amendment and due process. I'm dismayed that this board is attempting to hold itself above the law while simultaneously trampling on our constitutional rights. In order for a regulation to be legal, it must be applied impartially and with equal application to all. I'm going to branch out a little bit with the principal appointment. My son was originally at Air Academy High School. We've loved Dan Olson, and we also know that there's a unique set of qualifications for working on a military installation. Dan Olson brought millions of dollars to our district with the help and support of his team of APs. 1 year ago, the principal of the village stepped down. Who replaced him? The assistant principal. For due process, for equal protection, for transparency and justice, there is absolutely no reason that these credentials and standards should change. It would be logical, beneficial, and fiscally responsible to have an experienced AP who knows the particular needs of a school and the faculty located on a military installation. I'd also like to address Aaron Salt, who already had a conflict of interest in his dual roles of school board president, PPLD board member, and the COO of Woodland Park. But he took that to the next level when he became the acting superintendent of Woodland Park. We have competition between school districts for state and federal funding. Since people here like the Bible so much, Matthew 6:24, no man shall serve two masters. James 1:8, such a person is double-minded and unstable in all that they do.
Thank you, Ms. Gale.
Our next speaker is Richard Brown, followed by Brett Dayberry. Richard Brown, are you in the room? Our next speaker is Brett Dayberry, followed by Tim Hoffman.
I want to start out by thanking Amy and Derek for all the efforts you've done towards doing what's right for the parents and kids of D20. Unfortunately, the list of your accomplishments is shorter than it should be because you have to deal with the other 3 board members. These members ran on conservative platforms. That is why these 3 members were originally elected or appointed. These 3 members are Aaron Salt, Lauren Yanez, and Nicole Kahns. They effectively kept 3 extremely vile books in the libraries. How vile are they? Vile enough to get you thrown out of a board meeting by trying to read from them. But apparently, according to these same 3 board members, they're perfectly fine for your kids to read. On another topic, these same 3 board members caused language in the ACA to read, "Do not require parental approval." D11 and D49, among others, got this done to require parental approval, but not D20, because we have Aaron, Lauren, and Nicole on our board. I mention all this again because there's a D20 board election later this year. The 3 seats that are open and available are these same 3 individual seats. We as a district need to continue to vet quality candidates to replace these 3, excuse me, board members. This district cannot afford to have Aaron, Lauren, and Nicole reelected to this board. It's time that we as a community provide Amy and Derek with fellow board members who will enable this board to do what is right for the students and for the parents of this district.
Our next speaker is Tim Hoffman, followed by Megan Gatekey.
First off, I want to say thank you to Rich Payne and his team. Situations like last night escalate quickly, and I appreciate the efforts, not only last night, but their willingness to communicate at length with my family today. Thank you. I work in the production field. My entire career has been in production, web, digital, music, print, film, all production. We have a saying in that space that says trash in, trash out. What that means is when you can expect to get a final product that's no better than the resources you bring to the table. And the same goes for these meetings. As long as certain individuals on this board continue to rally support from the same pool of narrow-minded, hateful, vindictive, angry, and largely incomprehensible individuals, you'll continue to see results like the debacle last night. I've seen it here repeatedly. I've seen it in D49 repeatedly with some of the same players. I've seen it online repeatedly. I even saw it at the Colorado Springs City Council meeting when the same group of Golden Calf loyalists showed up to defame me in public. Trash in, trash out. And let's talk about decorum for a second. It's wildly comical and fully embarrassing to listen to a particular board member ramble on about decorum in this space when said board member has time and time again displayed the absolute lack of scruples, morals, maturity, and decorum. And board, clapping, that's the hill you want to die on? You guys have so much you could work to improve upon. Communication, for example. It shouldn't take 21 days and 3 prodding emails for a parent to receive a 1-line non-answer from the board secretary. Or how about working towards stopping the lies and the gaslighting in an attempt to make things look perfect from your end? Policy adherence, conduct on becoming a board member, etc. But clapping? Come on. And I know, there's a new sheriff in town, as we were so eloquently and ridiculously reminded last month, but you still represent all the parents in this district, not just the ones who voted for you. Look, I raised 3 kids. I know toddler behavior when I see it. I hereby put all of you in timeout. No more screen time, no more friends' houses, no more sports or hanging out. No more board meetings until you can come out here and act like adults. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Megan Gatekey, followed by Emily Vonachin.
Megan Gatekey, mom of 3, live in D20, military family. I wanted to start off by thanking our security team for all the work they have done at our school this week at Encompass Heights Elementary School. I also wanted to thank our school administration and principal for taking our situation seriously and doing their best to ensure all our kids are safe. I love our school. They work really hard to be welcoming and kind to all the kids. My kids love giving fist pumps to the wonderful Mr. Pace, and Officer JJ is a local celebrity. Luckily, the kids have only noticed some cool new cop cars around the school. I want to speak on the fear many parents at our school are feeling with the individual who doesn't seem to understand when a meme slaps, or when it's a threat. This individual has been threatening lawsuits against parent groups, neighbors, Lifetime Fitness, and other individuals. Many parents have expressed they don't want to volunteer in our parent groups because of this person's explosive behavior. A lot of their complaints are beyond anyone's ability to even address. For example, they've time and time again asked the PTA to build a fence around a school, which we're not allowed to just do. So this past month, we've seen major escalation, and it's becoming really frightening. We want something done. We've had this person for 3 years showing this erratic behavior. We want to be able to walk our kids to school without being afraid. We want to plan events without worrying about what asinine thing may set this person off. We want our teachers to feel safe and to be able to focus on their entire class without the looming doom of dealing with someone who is frankly frightening and is constantly asking for things that are unreasonable. We'd like to not have this parent volunteer in the school anymore and not be allowed to go on field trips. And a lot of parents would like for them not to be able to even step on school property. So.
Our final speaker is Emily Vonnegut. Emily, are you in the room? That's the end of our speakers.
Thank you all for coming back today and sharing with us. For our debrief, Superintendent Haber, do you have any clarifications or next steps?
I do not.
Board was our business last evening and today focused on activities that promote and honor our mission statement, our belief statements, and our global end statement that reminds us all that all students will have the knowledge, skills, and character necessary for successful transition to the next level, and upon graduation will be fully prepared for success. Did the board hear information that would require the review or revision of a policy? Did the board hear information that would require a new policy? And did the board hear information that the board would like to include on a future agenda? Do we have a number of how many are on live stream, Ms. Rookman? 31. 31 people are viewing with us today. There is no executive session this evening. This meeting is adjourned.